What's going on? Welcome back to 100% NUFC. I hope I find you really well. Back out St James's Park again, this time for my opinion on the boycott after yesterday's game against Arsenal. It was much talked about throughout the summer before Steve Bruce got the job, and after Rafa Benitez had left, everybody was saying, let's boycott the Arsenal game and let's make a stand. Everybody on Twitter, Facebook, etc. were all for this boycott. Now, in the end, there was reportedly 47,000 fans in the stadium yesterday, but others are saying that there was 42,000 fans overall. Now, my opinion, I'm going to go half on that, and I'm going to say there's roughly around about 44 to 45,000. And I have to say, in my opinion, that is a failure. That is not a boycott. A boycott is where you boycott every single home game between now and the end of the season. You don't go back. But I had a good feeling that fans would be here for the game. And I have to say, I'm not against fans who want to go to the game, because at the end of the day, you are there to support the team, you are there to support Steve Bruce, and you're there to back the club because you support them. And I do support the club, but I've said on record that I'll not be going back for the season because of the way Rafa Benitez was shafted out the door. I will be back for the 2020-2021 season, but my opinion as it stands. But I'm not against anybody that goes to the game. I'm not going to come out here and say, oh, you're a sheep, you're a Mike Ashley this, you're a Mike Ashley that, because at the end of the day, this is our football club, the club that we support. And it reflected yesterday in the attendance that everybody simply loves the football club and that it's hard to keep away. And I understand, because a lot of fans, go to work and then they want to go and take the stresses out of work and put that onto the pitch and go and back the lads and give them their 100% support. And I think at the end of the day, it's not the wrong thing to do. It's the right thing to do. But at the same time, if you want to do a boycott, you've got to do the boycott properly. You've got to at least have half the ground empty. The ground capacity is 52,000 fans. Half of that is around about 26,000. Now, even 75% of the ground, or even more, was full yesterday at Arsenal. 75% of the ground is roughly around 39,000. And we had more than that yesterday in the ground. You were talking in the 40,000 mark. And for me, that's simply not enough either. You've got to get the ground to around about 25 to 30,000 to have any sort of impact on Mike Ashley, because at the end of the day, he's going to get the TV money from BT in Sky Sports and from the Premier League, and that's what happens in terms of being a top 5 football club. Yes, you can compare the likes of Blackpool, getting their owner out, but that's a League One club. They're a club who, don't get the TV money that we get. They don't get the support that we get. So it's easier for their fans to boycott, and it's easier for their fans, to boycott against their owner, and it's easy for their owner to come out and say, yeah, okay, I'll sell up, because they don't get the money from the EFL. They don't get too much money compared to what we get. Now, at the end of the day, fans who stay away like yourself, again, we aren't in the wrong. If you want to stay away, you've got to stay away for the right reasons. And when you organise a boycott, it's got to be organised properly, because this boycott for the Arsenal game was hyped up so much that when it come to the big day, there was around about 300 fans. There might even have been a little bit more outside St James's Park protesting. And don't get us wrong, I respect those fans who did that, but for me, 300 fans is simply not enough. You've got to be talking 20,000 fans outside that ground protesting against the owner and the regime and how he's treated our club in the last 12 years. We've tried this in the past against Wolves, it didn't work. We tried it against West Ham, the walk-in, that didn't work. And they tried it against Tottenham, it worked to an extent, but against Tottenham, but did it allow Mike Ashley to walk away? He's not going to walk away from Newcastle, because we're a club that makes profit all the time. We're in the Premier League and we get the crowds every single home and away game, so I can see why he's not going to sell up. As much as that pains me, it's going to pain you. And from his statement the other week, he's not going to leave anytime soon. So I think for anyone who is boycotting, boycott for the right reasons, stay away for the right reasons. But if you are going to the game, at the end of the day, just get behind Steve Bruce and get behind the board, and sort of, I'm not saying get behind Mike Ashley in a sense, but when they're buying players and things like that, get behind the lads, because that's what you're supposed to do. Now, in terms of, the empty seats yesterday, that's one game out of 19. That's not going to affect Mike Ashley one bit. You've got to do it in every single home game. And obviously, of course, the only way that fans are going to keep away from the ground is when the results are going bad. And I'm not predicting bad results on the squad, because that's simply not fair, and the players don't deserve that. But at the end of the day, that's the only way that fans are not going to turn up, because the more that we get results, the more that the fans will come back. And I have to say that's a positive as well, because it's important that, as much as it's been a negative summer, we do have to get positive results in the Premier League. I don't want to see this club get relegated. I don't want to see this club fail. I've seen fans say, oh yeah, we need to get relegated to get Mike Ashley out the football club. For me, that necessarily does not work. We need to be staying in the Premier League. It's important for the North East, and it's important for this area. You know, it's important for this ground as well, because this is, in my opinion, one of the best grounds in the world. This is a Champions League football ground. And yes, Mike Ashley is killing the football club, and yes, he has spent a little bit of money. I mean, what he spent, was it £61 million? For me, that's simply not enough. Now, call us whatever you want, but in my opinion, he should have spent more. You know, he's given Steve Bruce 61 million quid. He gave Steve McLaren 80 million pounds, but Benitez over time was given next to fuck all, which I think it's an absolute joke. Do you know what I mean? The best manager that we've had since Bobby Robson and Kevin Keegan and Chris Hughton. I've said that on record. But at the end of the day, Steve Bruce is the current head coach. We've got to get behind him. You know, we can't turn around and say, oh, Steve Bruce is the reason why I'm boycotting, because yes, I've had me a little bit of banter about Steve Bruce. I've had me say about Steve Bruce, but at the end of the day, he's not going to leave. He is the current head coach, and we've got to support him. And I can understand, it's his local football club. But boycotting because of Steve Bruce, for me, isn't the answer. My reason for boycotting is because of the way Steve Bruce, sorry, not Steve Bruce, the way that Rafa Benitez was, you know, shafted out the football club because he asked for money and he wasn't given it. Now, I know Lee Charnley has come out and said in a statement that, oh, you need to get behind Steve Bruce and you need to get behind, you know, the lads. I totally agree with that. But at the same time, Lee Charnley has no reason to speak, because at the end of the day, this is a guy who jumps out the closet at every one time to try and say something to the fans that should have been said, or, you know, months ago. And he's come out and said, oh, you know, I'm going to do more to speak to the fans. Well, no shit, Sherlock. This should have been done 12 years ago. You know, you should be talking to the fans. We want to know what's going on. Otherwise, this is why this is happening. The boycotts, the uncertainty, the division between the clubs, with the fan base, because people like you do not speak to the fans. And Mike Ashley comes out every now and again to a paper and says what he has to say. Whereas he should come out and be open and honest with his fan base, because we are true to the football club. We want to go and support the club through thick and thin, and we want to be successful on the football field. We want to be successful in terms of climbing up the league. We don't want to just be staying in the Premier League and that's it. As much as one of the best leagues in the world, we've got to be showing more ambition. Don't get us wrong, we have signed some really exciting players such as Maximin, you know, Jethro Willems and Joe Linton. They're going to need time to gel in the Premier League. Yes, at the minute they're unproven. I am willing to give them a chance because that's what I do as a football fan. But I have to say, in terms of the boycott yesterday, it is a real shame that the boycott happened, in that it didn't happen in the right way. People will say, oh, well, you know, the conditions weren't so good. I think that's a bullshit excuse in my opinion. You've got to just go out there and do it in all weathers. A boycott is a boycott. A boycott means you boycott all of the games and make a stand for what you believe in. But fans who did go yesterday, I'm not totally against this. You know, you go there and you support the team through thick and thin, and you get behind the lads. And I know this is going to be a controversial video. People want to be thoughts about it. And as I've said before, I'm boycotting for the season. I am a man of my word. I will not be going to any home games this season on record. I will be doing away games. There's no question about that. I love me away days. I can't sack them off. But in terms of the home games, well, at the end of the day, that's my opinion. That's what I believe. And it's not about Steve Bruce for the reason why I'm keeping away. It's because of the way that the summer has gone. And it's been one of the worst summers that I've witnessed as a Newcastle fan. I know there's been darker days, and I can't speak for what happened in the 80s, the 70s, the 60s and before that, because I wasn't born then. But from what I'd seen, you know, this summer it was enough to say enough is enough. And I need the season to reflect, to see how Steve Bruce gets on, and to see how the lads get on, and see what Mike Ashley does in the January, because even though we've spent this summer, we need to be spending more money in the January, and that's no excuse. And we'll have to wait and see how the season goes. Now, what do you think of the boycott? In my opinion, I say it's a failure. I do respect those who did it, but at the end of the day, it's got to be better organised than what it has been, because we simply cannot do a boycott. And it was proved yesterday that when the TV cameras turned up, nobody was there to support the boycott, and there was only about 300 to 500 fans, so that's simply not enough. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. That's been my opinion of the boycott. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 2,200 subscribers, so if you could hit the subscribe button, that would be massively appreciated. I'll catch you all later. Away the lads.